he has, he's a very open-minded kid, and he loves the fact that, his dad is a progressive and runs on progressive issues and speaks about some of the things I talk about for, equality and, increased diversity in not only my field, but, other trades. And so, yeah, they're on board. And I definitely think they'll get more involved as things ramp up towards November. Right now it's summer, so, they're out of school, so they're pretty busy with their video games and being told to go outside.
Are there other things that you would like to make sure that our listeners know about you or about your campaign?
Even though Oregon, we have, a Democratic governor and a democratically controlled Senate and House, we do have advantages because of that, but there's still a lot for us left. And, namely our low graduation rate. So, there's definitely things to be done around improving those opportunities, not just statewide, but also, ensuring that, we're providing equity of opportunity for all Oregonians. And then, whether or not they correlate or are caused by each other, we also have the lowest business tax burden in the country. And due to the way our state operates, it requires a supermajority in both houses to pass any kind of tax increase without going through the ballot process. So in 16, we tried passing a tax increase. It was Measure 97, and it didn't do very well. The bill, it didn't garner enough support from both, from both sides due to the way it was written. It was a gross receipts sales tax, or a gross receipts tax, that the other side, the business community, was able to spend a bunch of money and convince everyone that it was essentially a sales tax. And sales tax in Oregon is kind of taboo words to use. We're one of the few states that doesn't have a sales tax, and quite a few people do not want us to go that way. And so getting corporations in Oregon to pay their fair share is a huge deal, so we can invest in some of the things that we need to, primarily education, and then to start being a leader in things like healthcare and a green economy.
So if our listeners would like to know more about you, maybe throw some dollars your way, how can they learn more about your campaign?
So I'm on Facebook and Twitter. It's at Ellison, the number 4 Oregon. And then my website is Mike Ellison for Oregon, with 4 spelled out. So MikeEllisonForegon.com.
And you have a nice big red donate button here.
Yeah, the feature of the website, yeah.
That's good. I like all these Act Blue sites that I click on, because then they all go, Kelly, we have your information all filled in already for you.
Yeah, the express button.
Yes. Act Blue likes me a lot right now. All right. Well, hopefully people will check out your website and follow you on social media as well, so that we can help boost your message in this district against someone who's never run for office.
Yeah, and then just some further contrasts. She's joked about the effects of climate change, and I don't think she's convinced that it's an issue. She's made comments along the lines of regulations serving no purpose other than getting in the way of business. She's also a former member of the Oregon Right to Life PAC board. So yeah, I mean, there's quite a few issues that we are very different on, and hoping the voters will see those choices, and would hope I can convince enough of them to go my way.
And I love that you are a bartender. I have this vision in my mind of Oregon as just this bastion of beer.
That's not far off, especially in Portland. But even here in Salem, we have several local breweries, and you're never too far away from a tap house. And yeah, it's definitely something that Oregonians enjoy. Not all of Oregon is Portland, but that a lot of people, that's as far as they make it, and that's okay too.
All right. Well, thank you, Mike, for joining us. This has been really fun.
Absolutely.
And we're definitely going to be boosting your tweets and Facebook posts, so I hope everyone else will join us in doing that as well.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. That's one of the main challenges, is just getting the word out and getting my name out, and letting people know that I'm here and that there's, I like to say, one of them running for office. In a middle class community, and somebody that's grown up blue collar with blue collar parents, and just giving people that opportunity to vote for somebody that understands their issues.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
This is the Mid-Pod, the Midterms podcast. I'm Nisi Panetta.
And I'm Heather Atwood.
We are two progressive moms traveling America to chronicle what may well be the most important set of elections of our lifetime.
We'll introduce you to the amazing candidates running for Congress and who we think put country over party. And you're invited to the Citizens Potluck we hold in every district.
There's no doubt our democracy is in trouble. We've got to pay attention and get involved.
Change and reform can happen in a healthy way in this country if we vote in the midterm elections.
So tune in every Tuesday to the Mid-Pod and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, everyone. This is Kelly with Two Broads Talking Politics, and I'm here in this segment with Shannon Souza, who is running for the state senate in Oregon in District 1. Hi, Shannon.
Hi, Kelly.
To start, could you give me a little bit of background on who you are and why you're running for the state senate now?
Sure. I'm an engineer, and I've been in the area that I'm in. To give you a little bit of context of where I'm at, I'm on the southwestern corner of rural Oregon, right out on the Pacific coast. And I've lived here for about 23 years. I've been doing sustainability consulting, mostly public water supply management, renewable energy systems, and habitat restoration. And then I've also raised two children here. About 15 years ago, I co-founded a charter school. So that got me much more exposure to the public school system and understanding the nuances that are involved with funding and teaching staff and autonomy. During this period of the last 23 years, I've also done a lot of public speaking and community volunteer leadership work. And over the course of that time, I've been asked several times if I would consider running for public office, which I said I would once my sons were graduated and out of the house. We just had my son's high school graduation party last weekend. So honestly, I was thinking of running in 2020 and just started getting my feet wet about 4 years ago, understanding more about the process of democracy and PCPs in the major two parties and how the state convention level. And we just kind of had a perfect storm of events. We had a state senator step down, a Republican state senator, and to replace him, we really felt we should run someone strong against. And I was the strongest one sitting on the bench, so here I am.
You mentioned a little bit where the Senate District 1 is. What are the kinds of communities in that area, and what are the concerns that the people there have?
The area includes some of the most productive timberlands, traditionally most productive timberlands. And in fact, in the 70s, the Port of Coos, which is just on the northern end of the district, was the largest sawmill export port in the world. Since that time, due to protection of endangered species, the timber has kind of definitely fallen away from the region, and it's really been in this state of redefining itself. Since that time, we've had a real influx of retirees. We have an aging population. We have more veterans per capita in one of our towns, Roseburg, than possibly anyone in the nation, definitely in the region. And that's brought with it a very lucrative medical industry. So right now, the largest employers in the area are medicine and education. We also have manufacturing in the area. We've got a lot of ag. Of course, the cannabis industry is the new player on the scene, but we have a somewhat maturing wine industry on the eastern side of the district. We've got some very nice sustainable fisheries, but it's kind of the rural American stress between sustainable management of the natural resources and economic development. Those are the real issues for the area. That economic vitality and bringing that vibrancy back to the area without exploitation of the natural resources. Most recently, that has come to play very publicly in two areas, one of which is a state forest, the Elliott State Forest. And there's a lot of controversy about how that forest should or shouldn't be managed. The funds from logging of that forest were going to the school district. However, in protection of the endangered species, the marbled murrelet and coho salmon, there was a very, very contentious legal battle over the proposed sale of that forest to private industry. And now it's still in the state forest hands, and we're back at the drawing board looking for some forestry management practices that will keep everybody happy and protect the very unique and irreplaceable habitat that we have there, while hopefully allowing some responsible thinning and logging that can get some people back to work. On the other side of this, we also have Jordan Cove Energy, which is a proposed liquid natural gas pipeline that would terminate in Coos Bay and be an exporter to sell the natural gas to China. There are a lot of different opinions about that. It's quite a polarizing project in the area. Personally, I'm just looking at the use of eminent domain that project claims to use to claim private lands along the pipeline, even when the landowners are not agreeable to the sale of that land. So that's a big deal out here, and it is somewhat up in the air. It appears that the Trump administration is looking to push that through regardless of previous denials by federal agencies.
So could you talk a little bit about how your professional background would help you be able to deal with these very important issues in the state Senate?
Most of my work has been as a project manager for large-scale public water supply development projects. And when we get into these projects, particularly when we're operating on federal lands, there's a really a quite comprehensive process that we undergo. And you invite all of the stakeholders, anyone who might possibly be impacted by the project, to the table at the beginning, understand their objectives, and move forward collaboratively. And that is really the basis of how we need to solve our problems. There's been quite a lot of polarization around the nation, and as I've described with those two projects, certainly in the region, and it just ends in a stalemate with nothing progressing. So that collaborative skill and understanding how to get people to the table and define that nexus of where we overlap and can move forward is something very valuable that I can bring. I also have a working understanding of how federal and state and private funds work, how the money flows, how the legislation is implemented through the rules, and how those rules play out into the everyday lives of people in rural Oregon. So bringing that context of understanding, not to mention the relationships that I've established over the last 20 years with our federal and state and private leaders, puts me in a nice position to not start at square one. It also gives me a different perspective coming into the political arena, not as a politician, but as a project manager with that lens of moving forward and getting something done. The other things that my professional experience could really help us with that are very poignant right now is I'm a contractor. For the last 15 years, we've been doing sustainable energy and home construction. And our region is faced with a housing crisis. We have a workforce housing crisis, so we have employers with great jobs and employees that would love to work them and nowhere to live. And I know that the whole West Coast is also experiencing an influx of a